Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL, officially unofficial coverage of the LJL 2020 Summer Split. We're coming at you with game number 6, V3 Esports facing off against Burning Core. But we've just witnessed V3 have their second loss in the LJL Summer Split initialized, and you have to say that's an upset for V3.
Oh yeah, of course you do. Like, this is a little reminiscent, honestly, of DFM coming into the last few weeks of play as well, where they dropped a couple games to higher ranked teams, and we sort of started questioning whether maybe they were looking a little bit more insecure. That said, that was a different draft from V3. It was a different style. They were going for that 1-3-1. They were looking less around bot lane pressure as well, which I know they do like to go towards a lot, and didn't work out this time. Not to say it won't work out another, but well played to Sengoku Gaming, came in with a really strong plan, and Appman on Aatrox running away with the lane and later on.
Yeah, he ran over that game. Coming into this game, game number 6 is going to be V3 facing off against Burning Core, and last time we saw these teams face off was way back in week 1. A little bit of a to and froth game, but let's be real, it was always V3's to win, wasn't it, Initialize?
Yeah, it was. Once tried to get as much farm as he could in Kindred. It still wasn't enough. He got farmed a lot. Bot lane play didn't go the way of Burning Core. Mid lane play went very much the favour of V3 at the same time. And it kind of all fell over from there, really, for Burning Core.
However, Burning Core had a bit of a stumble at the beginning of this split, you can argue, as they did go 0-2, then followed it up by a going to 2-2 in the next week, and then we saw them kind of pick up another 0-2 and then fumble until these last few weeks where they've been going 1-1. They found themselves right in the middle of the pack in 5th place, basically teetering on 4th place. They've got 2 games still to play, so they can easily make a really good shot up to the highest seeds and take out DFM from that 4th place spot, as well can the Hawks. So really have some interesting games coming up. Burning Core have been looking a lot stronger now, especially since Super Week, right, Initialize?
They very much have, and I think it is a renewed number of carry junglers for once, which is great news for Burning Core as a squad. That is their win condition, is a strong pressure top laner and utility from... relatively speaking, utility from their mid and bot, with basically able to carry through their top players, the top in the jungle. The fact you can't ban out once as easily is fantastic news for Burning Core. That said, it's still not as though Burning Core don't have their issues. Yu-Gi-Oh and Yuhi are still rookies. Yuhi in particular is a utility player at best, but I don't think he's that great a hard carry player. And Burning Core can and have been punished through that.
They have been. Interesting to note, though, coming into this game, is Initialized. This is the official stream's game of the week. High expectations, and it does kind of make sense in a way if you look at it because of how the seeding is going to be working. And in another sense, this is kind of a limit test for Burning Core, as throughout this, they've proven that they can mostly beat the lower teams, but they've struggled to find a win versus much of the higher teams outside of CGA. They've 0-2 versus Sengoku. A win against V3 would really put them in a weird place in the standings and in power rankings, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They took down DFM, someone they have struggled to take down throughout their history in Super Week. That was a massive deal. They have... I think they did. You're right. I think they did get a win over CGA as well at one point as well. So like, there are some, right, and so there are signs that this team might be moving up from their gatekeeper status. They still hold a lot of their fate in their hands. If they win this game, they will tie in record with DFM. That's a 1-on-1 record. There would be a tiebreaker to play. That said, they need to go through V3, and that is a big ask.
It's a big ask, but we just saw Sengoku Gaming fall to the side of V3 Esports.
We did.
Maybe this is the time, if you're going to find a win, find it when V3 are a little bit shaken at this point, and find it where they can be doing it. And against Boogie is once. You've already highlighted once. You've got to feel far more confident when you've got a player like Once on your team. Also, Rayfarki over in that top lane. and Proud in that bot lane. These are three
split.
players that we've been just singing the praises of over on our podcast, right?
Yeah, exactly. And while we've had our issues with Yu-Gi-Oh! And particularly Yuhi, we've largely been very impressed with the other three members of Burning Core. That said, the other side is V3. There are some absolute superstars on there. Boogie and Reiner in particular have blown us away over the split. Archer has been having a killer rookie year. And like, I'm looking at the DPM difference here between Boogie, the jungler for V3, and the mid laner Yu-Gi-Oh! For Burning Core. And Boogie has a higher DPM than a mid laner by like near enough 80. Like, that's absurd. Like, 398 DPM from a jungler is very impressive. 318 DPM from a mid laner is a bit on the low side, frankly. And that is pretty crazy when you look at the different playstyles of these teams, of course, that you have to take into account. But even so, that's pretty nuts.
But we are now into that pick and ban phase initializing. You know what I love to do. Take it away, sir. Take it away.
It would be my pleasure. I'll take on the role of the play-by-play. We'll step out of the analyst role for a little while, but that means that V3 are on the blue side facing off against Burning Core, and the roster for V3 is still Paz in the top lane, Boogie in the jungle, Ace in that mid lane, and of course Archer and Reiner making up that superstar bot lane.
For Burning Core, we've got the man himself, Rayfarki in that top lane once, as always in the jungle, Yu-Gi-Oh! In that mid lane, Yuhi in their bot lane carry, and Proud as the support player. Bans coming through, Zoe, ban from Burning Core, and that Thresh coming out. Proud doesn't want to see it today, but he likes playing that set.
Yep, it definitely did, and I think in the last game as well, it was the Thresh in the set banned away from Reiner, and I have to say his Tahm Kench was a little underwhelming. Obviously, there were other factors going in that made his life a lot more difficult, but maybe there are ways to punish Reiner a little bit if you can get him away from some of that stuff, but instead V3 will say, enough of this silliness. They lock in the set. It is something of a 5-way flex, the quintuple flex. If you bring in the Senna as well, it can go to that sort of pseudo carry position in the bot lane as well. Just really irritatingly flexible.
Yeah, and that's part of the power of him. You can actually technically pentaflex him, as you can also just play that Senna. That Burning Core are like, no. Oh, they're actually going to say no. They're actually going to laugh at him. Senna is far more of a carry on 10.15, and I don't believe there were any patch changes that really affect it. Yu-Gi-Oh! On his tried and true Galio. That's also a pick away from Ace. I love it. I love it from Burning Core so far.
Like, I'm a pretty big fan as well. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has looked pretty good on the Galio, and that's great news when you're, as we said, the mid laner is newer, still trying to find his feet in the LJL, and it is a massive takeaway from Ace, who has looked pretty superb on that champion, and it maybe forces Ace into more of a carry position again, which has not been consistently his strength. The Sunday last week was fantastic from Ace. His Zoe and his set were really, really strong. And there is still room for him to go back to either of those. Well, actually, I'm not saying either. The Zoe is banned, so can't go back to that. But still could go towards that. Instead, is thinking about his LeBlanc. Kalista already locked in, which would be a great pairing with Set if they want to flex that bot. V3 have certainly got some skirmishing power locked in right now. That's one.
Oh, V3 are definitely saying, hey, how many times can we find a way to get into the face of our opponent? Well, let's just throw Reiner into the middle of them with a Fate's Call and just see how that goes. Though, Yu-Gi-Oh! Can just play this Galio and just taunt the whole team and just do a bunch of damage, but once says, hi, I'm going to play Kha'Zix, and we're going to have some really interesting lanes here now. So, Tahm Kench, obviously, on the cards. Now, that's going to be far more of a support, as it's going to be interesting to see, are Burning Core going to play this as currently now, the meta is to play Senna as an actual carry, or are we going to see the fasting Senna and see more of a supportive role coming out from this carry through and play something like that Tahm Kench, like a Wukong even?
Yeah, I mean, Senna Wukong is definitely a viable lane, and honestly, I wouldn't be entirely surprised to see if it was Proud picking up the Senna. Still room for that player to pick it up. Of course, it is nominally a support champion as well as an AD carry, and that Wukong instead is banned away here by Burning Core. Don't want to pick it up.
Not even something they've practiced at the moment, so they don't want to play it. Why would you play it if you've not practiced it? Clearly, my apologies. Though, obviously, it is interesting that something like that Wukong is a banned, as that is definitely something up Ray Farkey's champion pool. We're seeing a lot of top bans, 3 coming out, that Camille as well, and a Nautilus to round it out. So V3 of the opinion that this is actually going to be a carry center, which is important to note coming through this, as I'm expecting a support to come through. Doubt that's going to be the case, though.
Right, so we're seeing the Yuumi hover. Yuumi is very weak in 10-14, and instead it will be the Braum lock-in, so I'm not surprised to see that Yuumi flexed away from. So Senna Braum is looking at the bot lane. Very defensive, a lot of healing, a lot of shielding, and of course, when you have got a Kha'Zix and a Galio, you can definitely look to stack up those blows pretty well. Does pair up pretty well in the skirmishes there. Other side though, V3 thinking about going back to their early game jungling ways. The Elise that Boogie is so damn good at being hovered, instead perhaps will go towards his Lee Sin, which has been pretty impressive. Look back to that 3 versus 5 quadra kill for Boogie versus Axis a few weeks back. He definitely knows his stuff on that champ.
Oh, he really does. He's done some crazy things. They could have also, instead of playing a Yuumi, why would you not just play Karma for Burning Core instead? I think it just does more. V3 had that idea. They're listening to the cast clearly, even though I believe this is ahead of time anyway, so it doesn't matter. And they just like, no, Master One, we've already got you. You already know what's going on. The script is given.
We were talking about that in the break. The Alawi hover is there, and I know you would be pretty excited to see it.
It doesn't make sense for that comp, but I love it.
It would be a lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun. In fairness, when you've got a Set and a Callista and a Lee Sin all trying to dive in at you, you can make that a lot harder work. With an Alawi, instead, they have gone towards the Vladimir, which I think is realistically more sensible. The Wombo combo dive is there. Kha'Zix jumps in. Galio follows up. There is Wombo from a Dawning Shadow and the Hemo Plague as well after that. And you can definitely find a pretty nice engage for Burning Core. Bit of an earlier game skirmish comp from V3 though, and it is looking like Paz will be the one to take up that Karma in the top lane, and it will be the Set in the bot lane, which does make sense.
Oh, it really does. We haven't seen Ray Farkey actually play this Vladimir at all throughout this year of the competitive series. He played it a fair few times back in Season 9, but in Season 10 hasn't come out, so Return to Form was one of his more played champions back in Season 9, so exciting to see him back on here, and having a look at the drafts, I actually don't mind Burning Core's chances here, in my eyes.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, right? I think both teams are going to be pretty happy with their drafts. If for V3, they've got more lane pressure. They can definitely play around bot. Like, LeBlanc and Lee Sin come and dive with a Callista who throws a set in for face breakers down bot. Yes, please. Sounds pretty great. That said, Burning Core do have a pretty good response. Galio and Braum are fantastic defensive champions. You don't kill the Braum or the center fast enough, and Galio jumps on top, and maybe that dive gets turned around a little bit. So V3... they've got a great way to play around, but Burning Core maybe have found themselves a response if they can time it right.
What's also good to know for Burning Core is, depending on how this game goes, does Yuhi have another champion that he can reliably play from a carry position? This isn't going to be a fasting center, most likely. This will be probably a carry center, meaning that if he could play a carry center, that's just another champion in his repertoire. And a question that we've been having about Yuhi is, has he got enough champions in his pool that they can reliably fall back on? Currently, the answer has been maybe. We're not quite sure. Senna would be a way for me to think it's going to be okay. But that's not my big question here. How much pressure is going to be on once initialized to carry and really pull through for Burning Core against this V3 squad?
Oh, it's a difficult one. I have largely really rated once. I think he's been a fantastic Kha'Zix thus far. I don't think it's the easiest comp to play Kha'Zix into. The shields there for the Karma can make things quite tricky. LeBlanc's very mobile, all of that kind of jazz. You don't really want to be in the face of the Callista who can pop away from you and the Set who can just face break you. Those aren't fantastic things.
No,
that said, if you can catch people out in rotation, if you can just be a good vector for Galio, your role can be done. And bluntly, when you are actually potentially throwing the reins off to someone like Vladimir, played by Ray Farkey, that's not a bad person on Burning Core to be putting a little bit more carry potential on.
No, it's really not. And that's part of the idea, right, of this composition. If you can get something like a Vladimir ahead early through the game, you can really have him scale up. Coming over, though, to some team stats. Well, we're not surprised. V3 are ahead in most of these. They've been winning a lot of their games, though it has been brought down a little bit, partly through their game that they just experienced through Sengoku Gaming, though not enough to make a dent where they are now falling fully below into second place versus some of these other teams where they spike in one sense and then maybe have a few more consistent results through others. Still, Dragons, Rift Heralds, counter jungling, creep score, and kill assists at 15. V3 still dominant all the way through.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at particularly that counter jungle creep score here as well, because both of these junglers love to play in the other jungler's face. Once loves to play. Of course, it's kind of, when Burning Core have lost, it's often been on the back of Once not being able to continue to do that, and that's problematic, but we know that's how Boogie loves to play on the Graves and the Nidalee. I mean, I suspect the person who's in second there will be Blank,
probably,
who is similarly on things like Graves and Nidalee doing very similar things, and I don't think it's a surprise that the likes of Sengoku of V3 of Burning Core have got some of the higher stats in that.
Well, we saw exactly that, and why Blank probably has that second place spot versus V3 in that prior game. So Initialize, now that we've seen this draft, I have to assume before we came into this game and before we load onto the Rift, you assume V3 were favourites coming into this match, right?
I think so.
And now that you've seen the draft, who's your favourite now?
Still V3. It's like playing to exactly how V3 want to play, namely pressure in bot, look to dive it, early agency for both Ace and Boogie in particular, lane pressure for Rhino who can make plays on things like the set. Just a lot more comfortable, I guess, with V3.
Absolutely. Well, we've loaded onto the Rift, sir. So give us that beautiful introduction as always.
Well, the introduction will go a little... Friend, it is V3's last game of the regular split. It is Burning Core's last game of the regular split.
No, it's not.
Is it?
No, they got the Hawks at the last game.
I know. I'll tell you why I had that down. It's because I was looking at last week's scoreboard. Threw me off. Burning Core, however, as I managed to make a debacle of my introduction to this game, thank you instead for Mass1 for correcting me. Burning Core have their playoff position standings in their own hands. They win one more game and they tie with DFM and can force a tiebreaker. They win two more games and they will secure unequivocal 4th seed, which would be massive for them coming into playoffs, and they get to choose a lot of things about matchups for the first couple rounds. Huge. That said, this is a hard ask. V3 are the #1 team in the league. Burning Core are not. And while Burning Core have been on a tear of late, this is a massive test. And I need to ask, Mass1, can the gatekeepers become challenged?
Well, to answer that question, we're first going to see how these two junglers deal with vertical jungling when Boogie has initiated it from level 1 as... Well, these two teams are going to have to be playing around their lanes very differently. Part of this is going to be very important to see how this top lane matchup goes. Rayfarki on this Vladimir versus Akama is a really interesting lane as Phase Rush Rayfarki, if he gets ahead early, can definitely force a lot of pressure onto the side of V3. But it depends if Paz is able to basically stay through. He's got that grasp, which is a really good way to keep him alive throughout a lot of these extended trades that will be happening in this top lane. I'm going to be prioritizing a lot on this top lane matchup to see who can come ahead. At the moment, though, Once just jungling, stealing Krugs, and then recalling, a little bit uncharacteristic, not even trying for the red buff.
I think the reason was you saw Once minion taxi his way across mid lane to get straight to the opposite red and didn't fancy fighting the Lee Sin, who had stolen Once's red buff at level 2. That would probably end up with a very dead bug. Lee Sin definitely has the advantage early on before a couple items come in there. And I think just stealing the Krugs away is at least getting something back. And it's good XP and gold, even if you don't have that early red buff, which would have been nice.
Yeah, we're seeing extended trades in that mid lane, and that does make sense. I did absolutely forget, even though it was on my screen as I witnessed it. Oh no, Once. Oh,
Ooh, does avoid the Sonic Wave, but remember, Boogie can still ward hop. He's going to hop forward and do exactly that. Gets the slow. Starting to get those autos down, and the red buff burn is there. The Q will be back up. Flash over the wall. Paz now roaming as well. There, the Krugs have been aggroed. They heal from the smite, but that is the tether. And once now under tower, will fall down to first blood. The safeguard out, and Boogie punishes the bug very swiftly, very early.
I thought that was the most delayed flash in the world from Boogie, that he wasn't even going to go for it. Doesn't matter. Found that first blood. Really well played by them. Okay, so once is now being put down, and this is, as you mentioned earlier, I'm going to really hammer on where you started this narrative, because I love it. Let's talk about this. Once is now kind of in the dirt. I'm more than happy to say that, because now he's very far behind, and we saw what happens to a Kha'Zix who has a pretty medium to poor early game. We saw that from Boogie in our last game, meaning that this is just pure advantage over to Boogie on a Lee Sin. Wait, I've seen this script before. This is scary. This is so well played. They missed that Sonic Wave, as you mentioned on the play-by-play, but then he does this. See, look at this. Boogie's like, actually, now Paz is like, go for it. We can do this. Flashes. Beautiful flash, and lands that tether. Max range tether. Stays around so he can at least jump back to his top laner so he doesn't have to take too many turret shots. Really cleanly played by all members of V3 there. And what's also worth noting is Ace was prioritizing and moving already up to prevent Rayfarki from even trying to trade back something, as there would be an extended trade going on. Ace would protect or at least try and trade back, so it could be even worse for them, as wow, that Proud just took a bunch of damage, and God, Reiner's so good on set, isn't he? He's so good.
And you can see those first jungle roots. Boogie stifling everything Once wanted to do early, caught him level 3 to level 2 as well, so there was no leap available for Kha'Zix to try and run away. And yeah, it's come out to a pretty big CS lead for this Lee Sin. It's come out to an early kill for this Lee Sin.
2 levels advantage.
That's just pretty bloody terrifying if you're this Kha'Zix, who right now has to be very, very afraid of this Lee Sin coming in for invades. Yujo is waiting around the corner, trying to see whether he can catch out Lee Sin playing too aggressively. Instead, you'll see Once will back. He hasn't even got a completed jungle item as yet.
Oh God, Once is that like, I don't know where I should go. What should I do? Rayfarki's teleporting in top though.
So you can see Once is hanging around. He reckons Boogie's going to come in for the invade and will raid it perfectly well. That's going to be the Q trade out. Now Boogie needs to think about getting out. Ace is now around. Will safeguard away. And they might still pressure in on this. And Boogie's still around. There's going to be a bit of a smite fight. But poor old Once is at least in raid for experience. But Karma, Lee Sin, and LeBlanc early versus Vladimir and an Anibic Kha'Zix is pretty tricky news for Burning Core. Not really a lot of room to play that one any differently. Is leading up to about 1,500 gold lead here for V3, and it's only just, gone over 6.5 minutes as I'm speaking.
Yeah, what was also really nice about that Rayam is they did that when Yujo was still level 5 for most of that. He only got level 6 as it basically ticked over and the fight had ended. Couldn't ever even assist them, so Ace was using that priority that he had due to the level tick. V3 just seem to have dominance, and they've been able to extend this to over a 1.5k gold lead. Not much worth to talk about already, but these small edges that they're finding early on are really going to potentially have momentum where they can push it forward, and Ace is just basically forcing Yu-Gi-Oh out of this lane at the moment.
He's just getting lane pressure, and of course, Ace did hit that level 6 point first. Got a bit of an bluntly every lane has got a CS lead right now. Even the jungle has got a pretty significant CS lead, and Boogie invading with Reiner here onto the blue buff as well. This Kha'Zix is kind of really under the cosh. Can't really find a lot right now. Is down still that level and a half mark. I can't tell you quite how close Lee Sin is to level 6. Pretty swift. He might even tick it over on this Gromp, to be honest.
No, I think he'll need to grab his red buff.
He's at 90. He's got 99%, I think, is where he's at. So really damn close looking at that experience bar.
Max power, but not quite all of it there. Cloud Drake is going to be probably picked up pretty soon after Krabby is grabbed here.
And there's that 2-level advantage. It'll be the level 6 hit by Boogie. They will move over to the first Drake. And they've got Callista and Set. Well, sorry, Callista and Set. Yes, that's the right way around.
They do.
Who are great at securing dragons as well. Easily picked up. And now Once still for trying to find something that I could start up the Rift Herald, maybe? Yeah, level 4, maybe not, buddy.
Yeah, and Karma, it was looking like Paz was actually interested in just going down. I'm just going to wander down, lads, just to make sure he's not doing it. Once it's like, puts a deep ward in, and then it's like, I'm out. I'm not. He's had 2k gold this whole game so far. Boogie's got a K advantage. That's where your gold lead at is, V3. It's not. You've already got it in multiple other lanes as well, but over 1k just in the jungle. Well, that's rough.
That's 150%. 150% of Once's gold thus far in the game, which is just massive. I doubt it'll stay at that percentage mark, but early on, that's just a huge, huge discrepancy. That's half of V3's gold lead right now.
Yeah, that's just so much pressure coming out. And Boogie having that, scary, right?
Yeah, big time. Big time.
Where I'm trying to think, where is this game going to go? It's going to be around basically Boogie at the moment, finding these picks. Once is still behind. He hasn't got level 6, and they need to keep pressuring. Part of that pressure is coming out through this top lane, and something I hinted at towards earlier. Rayfarky's going to have a pretty meh time in this early game, as just Karma is so oppressive at just dominating lanes, especially because of the Grasp of Darkness. So now you need to find ways of playing around the rest of your team, especially as Once got thrown down pretty early on. Rayfarky's just had kind of the brunt of it so far.
Yeah, he definitely has. He's picked up his 2 CDR items in that he's going to Proto Belt first at some point, but he's got that Phoenix Codex and, of course, the Kindle Gem. So, you know, 20% CDR plus whatever he's getting from his scaling runes. So that's a nice place for the Vladimir to be. But he's not really in a place to fight yet. Not really. He wants some more CDI, like level 11, all that kind of thing. At the minute, Burning Core just trying to play damage control, not bleed out too hard. That's going to be pretty hard work when Boogie just soloed out the Rift Herald at 9 minutes, coming on 10 minutes. And there are a lot of plates that could be taken as, you know, the counter jungling continues.
I personally would like to see it in the mid lane, as I think getting some more money onto Ace is a really beneficial part. And that's a very aggressive robot that we're already seeing out from the AI bot. 80% at the 10-minute mark for V3 to win this. I wonder, does the bot know that V3 are 11 and 2 at this moment in time, or is it just like, because it just looks at the champions in the current game state and it just goes, yeah, V3 should win this, and I can't help but agree, but that is skewed early on.
It is, and there was 3 pink wards, like, littered through V3's red side jungle. They've finally taken out one, but Boogie's like, I know exactly where you are now Once, and is hunting around to try and see if he can catch the Kha'Zix stepping in. There are those 3 pink wards, a third one just got placed. All of those major bushes are now completely warded out. Once going to try and find his way in, but Rayfarky has been taken really low in this top side. They could definitely look to dive up here.
They didn't even see him!
Here we go. They've got the sweeper. That's pretty big. Boogie is now on vision. I don't think Rayfarky was want to stay here. There's a pink ward. Oh, that Q lands from Paz. Looking for the dive now. Rayfarky still has the pull. He puts the Hemo Plague out. He's going to try and get some healing back out. That's something. He's still got Transfusion up, but the Herald now lands in this top lane turret. Is under siege. V3 all here looking to push down. That turret just about alive, but one more auto will take it, and now Burning Core are on retreat. Boogie and the rest of V3 disengage, won't follow through on that Sonic Wave.
And that was so beautifully managed by the members of V3. A lot of the time there, it was just a straight 2v2. The difference is, Once was just barely level 5, didn't even tick over to level 6 to the very end of all of that with all those minions dying. And Boogie just was able to keep Once away from Rayfarky. Rayfarky was so low because Paz was landing these insane shots. Redemption just coming in now as well for Paz. On top of that, Athene's, and it's going to be so rough for Rayfarky until he hits a few of his items, as he's not able to do his traditional thing. Rayfarky can't carry this early game. Once, though, found Boogie.
Oh, man, that is what you call the warrior enchant coming out. That is a solo kill! Because Boogie didn't back. And that meant that Once got the free 1v1. He's going to take a lot of damage here, but now Paz is in a lot of danger. The Dawning Shadow brings a shield, and now Paz is in trouble. He gets 1 kill back, but it's now a 2-for-1. Burning Core are chasing forward onto Ace, who's in a spot of bother. Tides of Blood coming out. And that is a massive knock on with the use of the Blast Plan. The Winds of War, they're not quite enough damage, and it will force a flash out from Ace, who does escape with his life.
And before we knew it, Burning Core immediately have a response back. They find a 2-for-0 due to the ignorance of V3 and the disrespect coming through. Burning Core weren't having any of it and immediately collapse upon. Look at this. This is beautiful by once here. Jumps over blind, comes in, so much damage through. Part of that is just the electrocute, and he just solos Boogie. Just solos, and that's a 2-level disadvantage from once as well there.
But it wasn't an item disadvantage, Mass Swan.
Important.
Once Backed had the equal items at that point. Now you see Boogie's back. Now he's got a phage to his name over once, and that's there's that difference back again. But at the time, that was once getting the shutdown. It will be V3 now starting the Mountain Drake. And that's great news for them, but a little bit sloppy there on the invade.
But what is worth noting is what Drake are we going to have? What is going to be the soul? They're going to be Infernal Soul. That's huge for V3 as they do still have a 4k gold advantage over Burning Core. That was a mistake by them to give those kills over, but they've still got an experienced lead in the jungle. They've still got a gold advantage, and this is a Drake that can throw momentum that is slowly maybe coming back into Burning Core's maybe court where they can at least contest. As oh god, Paz is just not allowing Rayfaki to play this game, is he?
Not right now, he's definitely not. It's still that 30 CS lead up in the top side.
3 levels advantage
massive
in the jungle. What?
And 3 levels in the jungle. You saw the counter jungling continues, and yeah, Kha'Zix has found something, and that's good news. But he's still in a dangerous spot as V3 will push in this mid lane as well. Burning Core, yeah, they found a punch back, but at the same time, it was 3 plates that V3 took in the bot side while all that was happening. They're saging in the mid lane. At least they managed to keep it for now. Transfusion keeps Rayfaki alive, but Paz is still continuing this shove in the top side, and it's just really irritating. Redemption and Athene's, like, that's a lot of A, magic resistance, and B, healing. Like, the Vladimir is getting out healed, and I've not seen that in a while.
No, and that Grass are dying, Redemption, Athene's, just a combo wombo. Rayfaki, if he's not careful here, could die under turret to Paz on a Karma. Okay, so I'm the type of person who's actually really okay with a Karma heavy meta, as I think it's very skill expressive. I think good.
Okay.
Personally, I like it.
Okay.
I know other people aren't a fan.
All right. I'm gonna need you to justify that one to me, but I'll allow the start. Continue.
Okay, so I think Karma's a very skill-expressive champion. We see one of your favorite players in Syros playing it a lot in the mid lane. It's a known pick of his, relatively speaking. I think you would agree, right?
I agree. I'm wondering whether we can keep this conversation up, because I'm watching Burning Core here in a death bush, like, and V3 doing the exact same.
Yeah, they're both trying to bait, but they're not quite sure who wants to go for it first. Ace is in this mid lane, just probably watching all of this unfold, going, I'm just going to keep pushing, guys. If no one wants to come do it, I'll just keep farming, and this will be fine. Oh, Yuhi. All right, you take farm.
Here we go. All right, once would love to get that. Skullcrab does manage to get it. Now Boogie hopping in, gets the Sonic Wave onto Proud. That's the flash in. Coming up, that's a decent use of the Glacial Fission to buy time. A lot of health bars now taken low. The Dawning Shadow comes through. The Railgun takes V3's health bars low, but nobody is dead right now. Once, though, is he went too deep, but Vladimir is now in the backside. It's a double for Rayfaki, but at the top side, it's one traded back. Archer running as rampant as he can. The spears are in. He won't quite find the kill. And Rayfaki is being slowed and will fall down. The triple kill. Ace now hunting for more. He's on top of you. He gets the slow. The Sigil of Malice was there. But now there is Ace going very deep. The chains come through. Ace taken super low. He's ruining a place, but now the shutdown onto Archer and V3. You've gone so damn deep, and I think that was a 3 for 3.
Yes.
My days, what a mess of a fight.
Oh god, that was just horrible from all players there. So Ace kept going in super deep, and then I was like, don't go too deep.
Paz is in trouble. He's got a W1 flash in. There's the Q. He's got the tether. It will buy time, and the massive amount of healing. Once can't quite find the kill. It's flash for flash, but Paz gets out with his life.
So what you just witnessed there with Paz on the Karma versus the Kha'Zix is part of why I love a champion like Karma, okay? What we just witnessed there was it, but we've got a replay to highlight, so let's do this instead. Ace comes in, finds and sees all 3 members of them, gets wards down, and this is really well played by V3 at this point. They collapse upon. Problem is they go way too deep. Rhino and Boogie are so deep where the rest of the team aren't with them. Beautiful center ult coming out here. Rhino is just taken so low, but they get a really nice chain CC there. Problem is, Rayfaki comes in and starts eating up all the members. They're really lucky that Ace doesn't die here, and Paz is also good here. Archer just somehow is able to 2v1 and doesn't care. beautiful flash jump away from Archer there to get away from Rayfaki so they can kill him. And now this is where V3, in my eyes, need to just be backing off. They went so deep onto Yuki Proud. This is a bar. This is a Braum. You're not going to be able to kill him any easily, especially as also Senna heals. She heals up. This is a lane that you highlighted. You're not going to kill easy. So why chase them down when you're all so low? Why not try and rotate around the map and find if there's another advantage on the map, or just maybe get out. Don't count your chickens before the hatch, you know?
Well, the skirmishes have been pretty even. The objective trades have not, though, and that's what V3 are looking to do right now. They will shove in for their third turret of the game. Infernal Drake, which would be V3's third, is now alive on the Rift. They get a second charge onto that tier 2 in mid lane. And they've got all the vision in the world right now. Burning Core thinking about coming to contest. They were pretty happy with how that last fight went. But now V3 have started up this Infernal Drake. This would be Infernal Soul Point. At 19 odd minutes into the game, it's already very, very low. And it's looking like it's going to go straight down. I've got a
me too.
Stream right now. But it's straight back, and we're going to see the Rend come through. Wasn't entirely clean. 6 HP left at the end of it, but it is now secured. And Burning Core will retreat without being able to stop that Drake going down. Fight might be going on, but we're in a bit of a stutter in the stream right now, so we'll see how it continues to go. Slow from Proud will prevent much more from occurring.
The only thing I do like when the stream does stutter is it just continues on from where it was before. It doesn't actually jump forward in time, at least.
So convenient. I'm like, is something happening? Who knows? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Permanent suspense.
Love that reference. Love it.
It never ends. It's like the only reference I feel like I have sometimes. But here we are. Boogie's off to the side, looking to see whether he can find a kick. Instead finds Once and a lot of damage, but Once gets shoved over the wall and therefore will survive. Rayfaki went into the pool, but he has been ignited. That is the use of the Callista ult was the one I was looking for. Fate's Call does manage to get out, but that will already be Paz, who manages to get the kill onto Rayfaki, and a little bit sloppy, a little bit scrappy, but it is V3 who come out on top. Boogie gets some chains to the face, though, and will manage to safeguard out, forces the leap out, but there is a showstopper now coming out. Yujo is in trouble, goes golden, but it only buys a certain amount of time. He is surrounded by V3 members, as Ace has gone really deep and gets rooted in place, won't find the kill, and Yujo is still trying to run away, but the Sonic Wave lands, trying to time out the Sonic Wave. Does not work. Resonating Strike will secure another kill for Boogie.
They also were able to pick up that mid turret because of that prior push they had done with the Rift Herald, and now they're going to be looking to get at least some damage onto this top turret, as that will probably be something they're going to be prioritizing. They're already pinging down onto that bot lane saying this is where we're going next, lads. We've got to just rotate around. Probably about 3.5 minutes if my internal timer right on my head. That dragon's going to be up in about 3 minutes now. They've now got almost a 7k gold lead at V3, and these trades, these fights have been real scrappy, but all members of V3 have a minimum about 800 gold. If you're Paz, Boogie, and Archie, you're looking at almost over 2k gold respectively in your lanes that you have over your opponents. The gold's coming in, and a big item just came in for Paz with that Arden Sensor.
Yeah, Arden Sensor with Callista at 2 items is pretty terrifying.
Well, you're not going to die. You're not dying.
Shielding. Yeah. Gets to hop around for free.
Look at that bot.
That said, you can still end up rooted in place. You can still get burst out by Rayfaki, who's got all the CDR he needs right now to be a terror. There is a world where Burning Core find the wombo combo, especially if V3 can't find the executes they need. But with a 94% stat chance to win, I think that's probably a fair statement. They've got a lot of objectives. They've just got a sheer amount of gold over their opponents at this point, Matt Swan.
And we can already see Paz pushing in this bot lane. Ace already finding Once. Chowsers, you've got to be so scared as Once. And this is a repeat game from Kazik. We have had our 2 Kazik players of Boogie and Once having now back-to-back games on the bug with no different patch or anything, having disappointing showings on a champion. They look so good already.
It's off early invades, making the Kaziks a little bit mortal, to be honest with you. It's Graves and Lee Sin, who can both duel pretty well early, making the Kaziks feel a little bit less effective early on right now. Of course, One still has a lot of damage, so that's a worry. The Dirk, he finds his way onto someone who's not paying attention. Someone can end up with a very low health bar, but it's not a snowboard Kha'Zix. It's not an equal level Kha'Zix. It's just 3 levels behind pretty much anybody he would want to try and fight. And V3 now starting up the Baron. Yeah. It's only 22 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and Paz has his teleport, and he's just roaming up after hard pushing this. They've got wards, but they're all around. The Burning Core have no idea this is going on.
They don't, but I think they can assume, but they just don't think they can contest. And it will be the free Baron to V3
Infernal in 50 seconds.
and Infernal in 50 seconds as well. V3 have absolutely demolished this early game coming into mid game now, and with a Baron to their name, with Infernal Soul coming up very shortly, there is a very, very small chance that Burning Core come out with the win in this particular match.
Yeah, and this 3-level advantage that Boogie's been able to get over once has just stayed the course. Now a 4-level advantage as Boogie ticks over to level 13. Oh me, oh my, are Burning Core and Boogie specifically angry about their loss to Sengoku and want to let Burning Core know that if they want to contest them, come to the finals. You'll see us there. Come prepared.
Okay, so we've got an Infernal Drake that spawned. That is the Infernal Soul up. Ray Farkey has got Spellbinder in alongside the Proto Belt.
Huge.
That could be massive. It is not stacked, though, critically, which could be a serious problem. And all this while, Karma is shoving in the top side. The teleport now coming in. Burning Core looking for the engage. The showstopper of the bug over the wall. But now comes the Galio. But that's not going to find much. It's disengaged one pretty swiftly from V3. And now Yujo is caught in between the Callista and the set. That's an engage. But the heals were massive. No health to be lost at all because of all of that shielding from Paz. 2 are dead already. It was Boogie who claimed the Kha'Zix's life in the end. Now Ace dashing forwards, gets the flash for the chain. That's a route onto Ray Farkey, and the Vladimir is not long for the world. The Facebreaker will get another kill. Yuhi goes golden, but he doesn't even get to complete the ult. Now Proud with the very sad present, and yeah, your gift this game has been pain. It's an ace. It is Infernal Soul. It will be the base broken as well.
That was a 3-man Facebreaker. Flash from Reiner. That was phenomenally well done. We've praised this man's set before, but that was really hella played. And that's important. They hit all their item spikes, and oh, bless you once. You're trying your hardest, but...
Yeah, still going to see a bit of a shove in. The redemption coming down. Kha'Zix is just hovering around best he can. The tether, you can't run away from that one so easily. Mantra Soul Flare comes in, and now the Nexus exposed V3 looking to hop their way to a victory. Yujo will kill off Reiner, and they might buy time. He's dead as well. Now Paz healing up for a absurd amount of HP. Will get the root in as well, but that is the taunt. Now Paz trying to run away very, very fast. The Winds of War come down. A second W will be there. The Q misses. Now Vladimir stepping forward, but here comes Boogie, who's pretty strong as well, but V3 have gone a very, very deep. Will get taunted in place. That is a shutdown, and it will be a 4-for-1 in the base. And Burning Core hold on, and a fair amount of gold actually goes into their pockets at the end of that play.
What is going on? They were looking at the base. You can see them pinging on the map going, lads, what are we doing here? Come on. We've got a 10k gold lead. We've extended our lead far further than ever in this game outside of when we were about to win. Boogie wanted to farm instead of hitting the base, and now that they're out and they try to kill people, we'll just reset. We'll do a rebait. It's fine. We'll just do it in a moment. Reiner's already hunting.
Yeah, Reiner has been pretty strong this game, just like hopping around, seeing what he can find. He's got 2 levels as a support on the opposing jungler.
I think he could kill once, actually. I think he could.
I think he probably can with Deadman, Stopwatch, and Chain Vest in as well. I think, yeah, this Kha'Zix is like, I'm really sad in this game. He is down 50 CS to Boogie. He's down 2 levels to the opposing support. Like, that's really not a great play. He would love level 11. He would like that second evolve.
Oh, he really would.
At least for a W or an R or something. Get that evolved active camouflage. But no. He's in some bother right now. I think he finally has level 11, but won't get a chance to sit there and evolve as yet. He needs to be able to retreat and not force a fight, but he's going to revolve mid-fight. There it is. It will be the Carapace that's been evolved. Can get those increased invisibility procs, trying to get in. But Ace has got 4 levels on the bug, trying to force him away, does so successfully. Now Yu-Gi-Oh! And the rest of Burning Core in retreat. That's a Glacial Fissure coming out now, Proud backing away with the stand behind me. But the Nexus exposed, down to half HP. Burning Core trying to hold people off. Reiner goes golden, but taken exceptionally low. That hero's entrance will not knock up Reiner, who managed to escape fairly swiftly. Ace now stepping forwards. And the chain proc did most of Yu-Gi-Oh's health bar. What's going in the backline? Can't quite find the kill. He goes golden does once, but will be deleted for sure. But the flash out makes me a liar. And now Ace has managed to escape. And the Nexus is still under siege. Archer will throw in all the spears. And the ending was scrappy. But V3 dominate this game of sheer objective dominance. And Boogie put once in the dirt.
Yeah, they might have forced that ending at the end. It wasn't the cleanest, but V3 just wanted it over, to put it lightly. We're going to go on a very short break here, Initialize, as we compose ourselves, get ready for some of the most important points over on the analyst deck. We'll be back in just a moment.
いい形でプレーオフを迎えられそうな勝利と言えそうですね。
そうですね、本当に全連勝っていく、なんでしょうね、そのスプリングの V3 の、スタイルに似た形がここでまた見れたのかなという印象はありましたね。これがあると、ちょっと戦国ゲーミングとしても、まあ、連のマッチアップしっかり考えないと、ブランク選手が思い通り動けないというゲーム展開に作られてしまいますから、ちょっと BO5 考える必要が出てきましたね。
いい意味で、布石を打てたんじゃないかなというような試合になりました。対するバーニングコアとしては、狙い通りそのミッドジャングルのラインで作ろうというドラフトは組み立ててきたわけですけれども、ちょっとうまくいかなかったですか。
そうですね、特にそのカジックスを生かすという点で、自分たちから仕掛けられる CC というのが、ガリオにしかなかったというのがかなり苦しい展開でしたかね。ガリオも仕掛けられるんですけど、やはり英雄降臨を使ってカジックスに飛びたいわけじゃないですか。なのでカジックスが一番最初に入っていって、そこに英雄降臨で入っていくっていう形しか見出せなかったというのがちょっと苦しかったのかなというふうには見えましたね。
ちょっと入っていくにはファームも装備も足りていないような、レベルも足りてなかったですかね。かなり苦しんでましたよね、ワン選手。
そこはかなりドラフトのところで V3 が先手を打って消していた、さらにはカウンターを用意していたというところもあったので、これはかなり、ドラフトのところからも V3 が上回っていたのかなというふうな印象でしたね。
勝利ということにはなりました。バーニングコアとしてはただ4位の目はまだ残ってますから。
そうですね、ここ SHG との直接対決に勝つことで、またそのタイブレークの発生というところが見据えられてきますから、本当に最終戦重要になっていると思いますし、 SHG としてもここアクシズ戦、そしてバーニングコア戦に勝って4位を狙いたいという今たちはあるでしょうから、ここ見逃せない試合になってきましたね。
そうですね、まだもう残り試合わずかですけれども、レギュラーシーズン本当に見逃せない試合が続いていくこととなっています。さあ、それでは勝利した V3 e スポーツブギ選手へのヒーローインタビューがございます。武田さん、お願いいたします。
はい、さあそれでは V3 e スポーツブギ選手にお話聞いてまいりましょう。さあレギュラーシーズン1位、そしてレギュラーシーズンを勝利で終えることができました。いかがでしょうか。
정규 시즌 1등 그리고 정규 시즌 마지막 경기를 승리로 끝냈어요. 소감은 어떠세요?
일단 오늘 1패하긴 했지만 그래도 잘 마무리해서 괜찮은 것 같아요.
今日1位に確定することができて、良かったのと、あと最後の締めくくりもすごく良かったんじゃないかなと思います。
ありがとうございます。さあ勝さんお願いします。
そのバーニングコア戦において、その全体的な動きがそのワン選手を狙いに行く、これが対策として行ってきたものなのかなというふうにも見えたんですが、どうだったんでしょうか。
오늘 BC전 봤을 때 전체적으로 그 완수 선수를 노리는
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL officially unofficial cast coverage of the LJL 2020 Summer Split. Initialize over there, +1 here. We just covered Burning Core facing off against V3 Esports, and well, it wasn't necessarily we covered and commentated, it was more a massacre from one side, and apparently we're learning about early levels and Kazakhs at the moment.
Yes, I have basically written down here jungle difference.
But this is once.
Right, and the early pathing from Lee Sin absolutely ruined Once's day. You could see that Once wanted to kind of trade 1-for-1, go to the vertical jungling after sort of Lee Sin had invaded the red buff.
Yep.
But there was a really swift minion taxi using the Sonic Wave to get right across to the second red buff while Kha'Zix was still on the Krugs. And that meant that Lee Sin got to take second red buff. Didn't. Karzik recalls because he can't go anywhere to farm anything.
Yep.
Then goes back to top side to try and contest around the scuttle. At which point Lee Sin turns up at level 3. Karzik is still at level 2. And shenanigans ensue, Masked Swan.
Shenanigans ensue across the whole map, regardless of who you are. And it just kept going further and further as the game kept going on. That gold lead that started at 1.5k very early on just kept going on and on to eventually it being 10k when the final dragon was taken down by V3, right? And part of that was just through the lane dominance that came from arguably all members of V3, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much AFK lane kingdom for all lanes. I mean, it was even-ish in the mid lane because it's standard wave clear stuff, but top lane, it was Karma into Vladimir early. That Karma got massive pressure early. It was Callista set early into Senna and Braum, massive shove early. And you know what your Kha'Zix would really love when you're kind of already had an awkward jungle start? Losing lane so the Lee Sin gets to invade for free with support. Sounds great.
That's not so good. That's not so good.
And you kind of saw it around that first blood, right? The Kha'Zix basically was desperately trying to run away level 2 to level 3 on Lee Sin. Lee Sin doesn't even bother through the Sonic Wave misses. It doesn't matter. The Ward Hop comes out. Paz has already shoved Rayfaki under the tower, who's in like a sliver of HP. At which point, Kha'Zix does not have Leap. He's level 2. He has to level W second for the healing in the jungle. Doesn't get to level Leap till level 3.
Yep.
And that meant he had to flash over the wall. Boogie follows, and Paz, because he shoved the Vladimir under tower, and the Vladimir can't respond because he's on no HP, gets to come over and just follow in as well. They get first blood. Kha'Zix is forever down at least 2 levels to Boogie, and the shove can continue ad infinitum because this Kha'Zix cannot influence lanes despite the fact they're super shoved up. And Lee Sin continues to invade and continues to put the Kha'Zix into the dirt throughout the game.
Not only that, but then Paz is able to find that pure advantage. And one of the lanes we wanted to highlight is Rayfaki, because Rayfaki is one of the rocks that Burning Core have looked to in a lot of spots when the game hasn't gone quite as well as they want it to go. They rely back upon him. Problem is, he's on a Vladimir. Vladimir isn't a great early game. He's arguably, I think he has one of the worst early games into a lot of matchups. Karma is maybe the worst one that he could be going against, especially when it's a grasp of Undying, where you just routinely heal repeatedly off of everything, and you're just like, well, I'll hit the Vlad and I'll out-heal him, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the idea, is you survive early on Vladimir, right? You have transfusions, you have pool, you have ways to stay alive. You don't necessarily get a lot of shove, particularly into other range matchups. Like things like the Ornn and stuff, you just have range and you can win that lane. Karma, that's just never going to happen. Like, flat out. And you saw it earlier, he gets shoved in. The Kha'Zix is put kind of into the dirt off the early jungling. And that meant that it was a permanent 30 CS lead. He loses first tower. Karma spends the rest of the game shoved up to tier 2. And just great stuff out of Paz as well, who survived a lot of attempts on his life just by having that weight of gold lead augmenting his healing capabilities. The amount of those empowered Ws that just gave him so much HP was huge. And great stuff from Paz. You know, credit down to the bot lane as well. Archer and Rhino shoving in super hard into Senna and Braum, but that was part of the risk that Burning Core indexed into. They were saying, okay, if we can reach mid-game at relatively even, we can skirmish super hard with this incredible sort of wombo combo backline dive comp. They never got there. And the early game comp from V3 got to use their early game advantages really super hard.
But let's be real, at least Burning Core in a few of these fights kept it rather competitive. That got the KDAs were always rather similar, while it did eventually favour hugely V3 towards the end of the game. Burning Core kept it competitive through a lot of these fights where they kind of had no right for it to be competitive, as it was a 5k gold lead already at the 16-minute mark.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you saw, like, that it was 2-0 to V3, Burning Core pick up 2 kills in response. You see the 3v3 in the red side jungle where like, Archer got the triple, but Rayfaki got the double. Like, Burning Core did a decent job of at least finding ways to skirmish to some success. Problem was, they just managed to get absolutely no objectives. At that point in the red side jungle fight, it was 2 towers to V3 already, it was 2 dragons to V3 already. V3 had rolled super high with an Infernal Drake spawn. So, they were down 5,000 gold by that point with Burning Core. It's like, okay, great, you're managing to skirmish, okay, but you're losing everything else on the map. By the time the game ended, Mass One, I was looking at Kha'Zix, he was down 2 levels to Rhino. He was down 2
Yeah.
levels to the set support. Like, yes, you managed to skirmish okay, but eventually the weight of gold and the weight of objective pressure pushed V3 way out of reach of anything resembling an even skirmish.
Yeah, and they were able to eventually get that Baron without Burning Core even being aware, and if they were aware, they knew they couldn't fight for it, which led into the Dragon Soul again, something that V3 just could take, and Burning Core couldn't fight much around. And, well, that was kind of all she wrote. It was just kind of inevitability. If you were Thanos, I am inevitable, and that's what V3 was saying once that soul was taken. They kept pushing, and while at the end it wasn't clean, Burning Core were able to get a 4-for-1, we still knew what was going to happen. It was just, how were V3 going to do it? Are they going to play this smart and by the book and really try and team fight effectively? Or are we just going to try and get this over and done with as fast as possible? Right,
They went for the style points. They went for the style points.
And can you blame them?
You can't blame that. They were super far ahead, and you're like, yeah, it got a little bit scrappy, but I could understand. They had the Nexus exposed. They wanted to try and end it, and it didn't work out, unfortunately, for V3. But they still ended the game pretty damn fast. They still look pretty good doing it, and Burning Core sadly won't win that matchup. It was their chance to absolutely have the opportunity to overtake TFM. They no longer have that opportunity. They can only tie with them now. They've got one more match. It's against their rivals in Hawks, who were also going to be looking to tie them in the standings. So, all to play for Burning Core.
Well, and this is part of the reason why this wasn't our game of the week, is partly because of this final game. However, for potentially our beautiful ideas to fully come to fruition, we're going to go on a break, but after that break, we'll be coming back for our 7th game of the day, and that's going to be Axis facing off against the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back in a moment. See you in a bit.